The Truth About Money. Chapter 1. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning. You check your bank account, and the balance has doubled overnight. No lottery. No inheritance. No miracle. Just enough money to erase every financial worry you've ever had. Would your life finally become perfect? Most people would say yes. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Money isn't what most people think it is. Some people work harder than anyone they know and remain broke for decades. Others seem to attract opportunities wherever they go, building wealth that grows even while they sleep. How is that possible? Is it luck? Is it talent? Or is there a truth about money that very few people ever discover? Today, we're going to uncover that truth. Not the version you hear in advertisements. Not the version sold in motivational speeches. And not the version most people were taught growing up. Because the reality is simple. Money follows rules. And if you don't know those rules, you'll spend your entire life chasing something that always seems just out of reach. Think back to your childhood. Many of us heard phrases like, "Money doesn't grow on trees. The rich are greedy. We can't afford that. People like us don't become wealthy." At first, those words seem harmless. But over time, they become beliefs. And beliefs shape decisions. Decisions shape habits. Habits shape your future. Without realizing it, millions of people inherit financial beliefs that keep them trapped for years. They aren't poor because they lack intelligence. They aren't poor because they don't work hard. They're poor because they unknowingly play the wrong game. Imagine trying to win a chess match while believing the rules of football apply. No matter how determined you are, you'll lose every time. Money works the same way. If your understanding of money is built on myths, your effort alone won't be enough. Here's something that may surprise you. Money doesn't care how good you are. It doesn't care how honest you are. It doesn't care how badly you need it. Money responds to value, decisions, discipline, and time. And once you understand that, everything begins to change. Have you ever noticed that two people can earn exactly the same salary? Yet after 10 years, one is financially free while the other is drowning in debt? The difference isn't usually income. It's behavior. One person spends to impress strangers. The other invests to impress their future self. One buys liabilities. The other buys assets. One lives only for today. The other thinks years ahead. Small choices, repeated consistently, eventually create massive differences. The truth is, wealth is rarely built overnight. It's built one decision at a time. One habit at a time. One sacrifice at a time. That's why this video isn't about getting rich quickly. It's about understanding money deeply. Because once you understand the game, you'll never look at money the same way again. Throughout this journey, we'll explore why so many people stay broke despite working harder than ever. We'll uncover the hidden psychological traps that quietly steal wealth. We'll reveal why society encourages consumption instead of ownership. You'll learn why financial freedom has less to do with income and more to do with thinking. You'll discover why some people seem to attract opportunities while others only attract problems. And perhaps most importantly, you'll learn the truth that many wealthy people quietly understand but rarely explain. By the end of this video, you won't just see money differently. You'll see yourself differently. Because wealth begins in the mind long before it appears in the bank account. So before we continue, ask yourself one question. What if everything you've ever believed about money is incomplete? What if the rules you've been following were never designed to make you financially free? And what if today is the first day you finally learn the truth? Stay with me. Because what you're about to hear could permanently change the way you think about work, wealth, success, and your future. This is the truth about money. The truth about money. Chapter 2. Why most people never understand money. If you've ever wondered why some people seem to make money almost effortlessly while others struggle no matter how hard they work, the answer might surprise you. It isn't simply because one person is smarter. It isn't because one person is luckier. And it certainly isn't because the world always rewards hard work. The biggest difference often begins long before either person earns their first paycheck. It begins with what they believe about money. The moment we're born, we're surrounded by ideas about wealth. We hear our parents talk about bills. We watch adults argue over expenses. We notice the stress that arrives whenever money becomes tight. Without realizing it, we start collecting those experiences. They become our financial programming. Imagine a computer. No matter how powerful the machine is, it will always follow the software installed inside it. Your mind works the same way. If you've been programmed to believe that rich people are dishonest, then becoming wealthy may feel uncomfortable. If you've been taught that money is always difficult to earn, you'll naturally expect every financial opportunity to be difficult. If you believe you're simply bad with money, your actions will quietly prove that belief over and over again. This is why two people can receive the same opportunity and produce completely different results. One sees possibility. The other sees risk. One asks, "How can I make this work?" The other says, "This probably won't work for someone like me." The opportunity never changed. Only the mindset did. But the world reinforces these beliefs every day. Think about the typical path many people are encouraged to follow. Study hard. Get good grades. Find a secure job. Work for 40 years. Retire. Hope you've saved enough. There's nothing wrong with honest work. Work gives people dignity, purpose, and valuable skills. But many people are never taught what happens after they earn money. They learn how to earn. They rarely learn how to manage. They rarely learn how to invest. And they almost never learn how money itself works. That's why someone earning a modest income can quietly build wealth over time, while another person with a much higher salary lives from paycheck to paycheck. Income alone doesn't create wealth. Habits do. Look around for a moment. Modern society constantly encourages spending. Every advertisement tells you that happiness is one purchase away. A newer phone. A faster car. More expensive clothes. A bigger house. The message is always the same. If you buy this, you'll finally feel successful. But that feeling rarely lasts. A new purchase creates excitement for a few days or weeks. Then it becomes normal. Soon another desire replaces it. This cycle repeats again and again. Many people mistake lifestyle upgrades for financial progress. They're not always the same thing. Real wealth is often invisible. It's the investment account no one sees. It's the emergency savings that provide peace of mind. It's the business quietly generating income behind the scenes. It's the freedom to make choices without constant financial fear. Ironically, the people who appear the richest aren't always wealthy. Sometimes they're simply carrying the largest debts. True wealth isn't about looking rich. It's about becoming financially secure. There's another reason people misunderstand money. Fear. Fear keeps people from asking questions. Fear keeps them from learning new skills. Fear convinces them that investing is only for experts. Fear whispers that failure would be too embarrassing. So they stay exactly where they are. But every successful investor, entrepreneur, or business owner once knew nothing. They learned. They made mistakes. They improved. Knowledge grows through action, not perfection. Now consider this. Imagine two friends. Both receive the same amount of money every month. The first spends everything before the month ends. The second saves a portion, learns new skills, and slowly invests for the future. 5 years pass. Then 10. Then 20. At first, their lives look almost identical. But over time, the gap becomes enormous. The difference wasn't one dramatic decision. It was hundreds of small decisions repeated consistently. That's one of the greatest truths about money. Small choices become big results. Another misunderstanding is believing that money is the goal. It isn't. Money is a tool. A hammer can build a home or break a window. The tool isn't good or bad. The person using it determines the outcome. Money works the same way. In the hands of a generous person, it can educate children, feed families, create businesses, and improve communities. In careless hands, it disappears as quickly as it arrives. Money simply amplifies who you already are. If you're disciplined with little, you'll likely become disciplined with more. If you're careless with little, more money alone won't solve the problem. This is why many lottery winners eventually lose everything. The amount changed. Their habits didn't. And habits are stronger than income. Perhaps the greatest misunderstanding of all is believing that financial freedom belongs only to a lucky few. History tells a different story. Countless people started with almost nothing. What separated them wasn't a perfect beginning. It was a willingness to keep learning, adapt to change, and make better financial decisions year after year. The truth about money isn't hidden in a secret vault. It's hidden in everyday choices. The books you read, the skills you develop, the people you learn from, the habits you repeat, the patience you practice. Every decision either moves you closer to financial freedom or further away from it. And once you recognize that, you stop asking, "Why don't I have more money?" Instead, you begin asking a far more powerful question. What kind of person do I need to become to create lasting wealth? Because the answer to that question can change not only your finances, but the direction of your entire life. And before you can build wealth, you must first expose the biggest lies about money that millions of people accept without ever questioning them. That's exactly where we're going next. The truth about money. Chapter 3: The biggest lies about money. Have you ever believed something for years, only to discover that it wasn't true? Maybe it was a rumor. Maybe it was advice passed down through generations. Or maybe it was something so widely accepted that no one ever stopped to question it. Money is surrounded by beliefs just like that. Some of them sound wise. Some are repeated by parents, teachers, friends, and even successful people. But many of these beliefs are incomplete, or simply wrong. And the danger isn't just believing them. The danger is making life decisions based on them. Today, we're going to uncover some of the biggest lies about money. Not to criticize anyone who taught them to you, but to help you see money through a clearer lens. Lie number 1. Money is the root of all evil. You've probably heard this countless times. At first, it sounds convincing. But think about it carefully. Money itself has no emotions. It doesn't choose who receives it. It doesn't decide how it's used. Money is simply a tool. A generous person can use money to build schools, support hospitals, feed families, or create jobs. A dishonest person can use money to exploit others. The money didn't change. The character of the person using it did. Blaming money for human behavior is like blaming a knife for the person holding it. The tool is neutral. The user gives a direction. When people grow up believing that money is evil, they may subconsciously avoid becoming wealthy because they don't want to become bad. Without realizing it, they create a conflict inside themselves. They want financial freedom, but they fear what wealth represents. That conflict quietly limits their potential. Lie number 2. If you work hard, you'll automatically become rich. Hard work matters. There's no question about that. Very few successful people became wealthy without effort. But effort alone isn't enough. Imagine 2 people working 12 hours every day. One is learning valuable skills, improving their knowledge, and building assets. The other spends every dollar they earn and never develops beyond their current role. Both work equally hard. Years later, their financial lives look completely different. The difference wasn't effort. It was direction. Working hard without a plan is like rowing a boat with incredible strength while heading in the wrong direction. You'll get tired, but you won't reach your destination. Hard work creates income. Smart decisions help create wealth. Lie number 3. You need a lot of money to start investing. This belief has stopped millions of people before they've even begun. Many imagine investing as something reserved for millionaires. But the habit of investing matters far more than the amount. Someone who consistently invests small amounts over many years often ends up in a stronger position than someone who waits for the perfect time. Time is one of the greatest advantages in building wealth. Every year spent waiting is a year that money isn't growing. The most successful investors understand something simple. They don't try to be perfect. They focus on being consistent. Line number 4. Rich people never have financial problems. This is one of the biggest illusions created by social media. Expensive cars, luxury vacations, designer clothes, large houses. These images create the impression that wealth eliminates every challenge. It doesn't. Money can solve many financial problems. It cannot solve every life problem. Relationships still require effort. Health still requires care. Peace of mind still requires balance. Many people spend years chasing a lifestyle instead of building a life. Real success isn't measured only by what people see. It's measured by freedom. The freedom to spend time with loved ones. The freedom to choose meaningful work. The freedom to sleep without constant financial anxiety. Those freedoms rarely appear in photographs. But they're often the greatest rewards wealth can provide. Line number 5. Saving money alone will make you wealthy. Saving is important. Everyone should have an emergency fund. But saving alone isn't enough. Imagine placing water into a bucket that never grows larger. Eventually, it reaches its limit. Investing is different. It's like planting seeds that grow into trees, producing more seeds over time. Money that simply sits still gradually loses purchasing power because prices continue to rise. Money that is invested wisely has the potential to grow over time. That's why wealthy people don't simply save. They put their money to work. Instead of asking, "How hard can I work for money?" they begin asking, "How can my money work for me?" That single question changes everything. Line number 6. It's too late for me. Perhaps this is the saddest lie of all. Some people believe they're too old. Others believe they started too late. Some think they've already made too many mistakes. But every day you delay learning is another day lost. The best time to improve your financial future may have been years ago. The second best time is today. No one can rewrite yesterday. Everyone can influence tomorrow. The decision to learn today can change where you are 5 years from now. The most dangerous lie. Out of all these myths, one stands above the rest. I'll learn about money later. Later becomes next year. Next year becomes the next decade. And before long, people wonder where the time went. Financial knowledge isn't only about becoming rich. It's about gaining choices. It's about reducing stress. It's about creating opportunities for yourself and for the people you care about. Every month you postpone learning is another month someone else understands the game better than you. And in the world of money, knowledge compounds just as powerfully as investments do. The truth is that most people aren't held back by a lack of opportunity. They're held back by ideas they never questioned. The moment you challenge those ideas, you begin thinking differently. And when you think differently, you start making different decisions. Those decisions become different habits. Those habits eventually create a different future. But understanding the facts isn't enough. Even after people learn the truth, many still struggle financially. Why? Because the greatest battle over money doesn't happen in your wallet. It happens inside your mind. In the next chapter, we'll explore the hidden psychology of wealth, why emotions, fear, habits, and identity often have more influence over your finances than your paycheck ever will. The truth about money. Chapter 4. The psychology of wealth. Have you ever promised yourself, "This month, I'll save more money"? Then, a few days later, you found yourself buying something you didn't really need. Not because you had to, but because, in that moment, it felt good. If you've ever done that, you're not alone. The truth is, money isn't just about numbers. It's about emotions. In fact, some of the biggest financial decisions people make aren't logical at all. They're emotional. And until you understand the psychology behind money, you'll always find yourself fighting the same financial battles, no matter how much you earn. Let's start with one simple question. Why do people buy things they can't afford? At first, the answer seems obvious. Because they want them. But if you look deeper, you'll discover that people rarely buy products. They buy feelings. A luxury watch isn't just a watch. To some people, it's confidence. A sports car isn't just transportation. It's status. An expensive outfit isn't just clothing. It's acceptance. Many purchases aren't driven by need. They're driven by the desire to feel successful, admired, or respected. Companies understand this better than most people realize. That's why advertisements rarely focus only on the product. Instead, they sell a dream. They sell the image of happiness, the image of confidence, the image of success. Because emotions sell faster than logic. Now ask yourself, how many times have you bought something simply because it made you feel better after a difficult day? Maybe you were stressed. Maybe you were lonely. Maybe you wanted to reward yourself. There's nothing wrong with enjoying your money. But problems begin when spending becomes emotional rather than intentional. If shopping becomes your way of escaping stress, then every stressful day becomes an expensive one. Another powerful emotion that shapes our financial lives is fear. Fear tells people, what if I fail? What if I lose money? What if people laugh at me? Because of fear, many people never start a business, never learn to invest, never negotiate for a better salary, never pursue opportunities that could completely change their future. Ironically, fear often creates the very outcome people are trying to avoid. By doing nothing, they guarantee that nothing changes. But fear isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers. It says, wait until you're ready. Learn one more thing. Start next year. Days become months. Months become years. And opportunities quietly pass by. The wealthiest people aren't fearless. They simply refuse to let fear make every decision. Now let's talk about another invisible force. Comparison. Imagine two neighbors. One drives a brand new luxury car. The other drives an older vehicle that's fully paid for. From the outside, everyone assumes the first neighbor is wealthier. But appearances can be deceiving. The first neighbor may be struggling with heavy monthly payments. The second neighbor may be quietly investing the money they didn't spend on debt. One looks rich. The other is becoming wealthy. There's a difference. Unfortunately, many people compare their real lives to someone else's highlight reel. Social media makes this even worse. Every scroll shows another vacation, another expensive purchase, another celebration. Very few people post the debt behind those purchases, or the stress behind those smiles. Comparison creates pressure. Pressure creates spending. Spending creates debt. Debt creates stress. And the cycle repeats. The moment you stop trying to impress strangers, you free yourself to build the future you actually want. Another psychological trap is instant gratification. Imagine a child sitting at a table. A piece of chocolate is placed in front of them. They're retold, you can eat this now. Or if you wait a little longer, you'll receive two. Some children eat it immediately. Others wait. Life works in a surprisingly similar way. Many adults struggle with the same choice. Spend now, or build something greater later. Financial freedom often belongs to those who learn to delay gratification. Not forever. Just long enough for today's sacrifice to become tomorrow's opportunity. Every investment is an act of patience. Every skill you develop is a reward that often arrives months, or even years, later. That's difficult in a world that promises everything instantly. Instant delivery. Instant entertainment. Instant approval. But wealth rarely arrives instantly. It grows quietly while most people are looking somewhere else. There's another psychological principle that separates wealthy thinkers from everyone else. Identity. Most people focus on goals. I want to earn more. I want to save money. I want to become rich. But lasting change doesn't begin with goals. It begins with identity. Instead of asking, how can I save money? Ask, what would a financially disciplined person do in this situation? Instead of saying, I hope I become wealthy someday. Begin asking, what habits would someone building wealth practice every day? When your identity changes, your actions naturally follow. A person who sees themselves as financially responsible begins making different decisions almost automatically. Small choices become easier because they align with who they believe they are. This is why real transformation starts in the mind before it appears in your bank account. And then there's gratitude. At first, gratitude doesn't seem connected to money. But it is. People who constantly focus on what they lack often make desperate financial decisions. People who appreciate what they already have are usually more patient, more disciplined, and less likely to chase every shiny new opportunity. Gratitude creates clarity. Desperation creates mistakes. Finally, understand this. Your financial future is shaped long before you make your next investment. It's shaped by the conversations you have with yourself every day. I'll never have enough. Or, I'm learning how money works. I'm always broke. Or, I'm becoming better at managing money. Your words influence your beliefs. Your beliefs influence your decisions. Your decisions influence your future. This is why two people with the same income can end up living completely different lives. One is controlled by emotion. The other is guided by intention. One spends to feel successful. The other builds success first, and lets the rewards come later. The greatest investment you will ever make isn't in stocks, or property, or even a business. It's in the way you think. Because once your mindset changes, everything else begins to change with it. And now that we've uncovered the psychology behind wealth, it's time to ask an even bigger question. Why were so few of us ever taught these lessons in the first place? Why can people spend years in school learning subjects they'll rarely use, yet graduate without understanding budgeting, investing, debt, or financial freedom? The answer may change the way you think about education forever. Let's explore that in the next chapter. The truth about money. Chapter 5. Why schools don't teach financial freedom. Think back to your years in school. You probably spent thousands of hours sitting in classrooms. You learned mathematics, history, science, geography, literature. All of those subjects have value. They help us understand the world around us. But let me ask you something. How many classes taught you how to create a budget? How many explained how investing works? How many showed you how interest can make you wealthy, or trap you in debt? How many taught you how to build multiple streams of income? For most people, the answer is none. And that's one of the greatest ironies of modern education. Many people leave school knowing how to pass an exam, but not how to manage a paycheck. They can solve complex equations, yet struggle to understand a credit card statement. They know historical dates, but not how compound growth can change their financial future. Why? The answer isn't as simple as blaming schools. Schools were originally designed to give people the knowledge and skills needed to participate in society and the workforce. They play an important role in education. But personal finance has often received far less attention than traditional academic subjects. As a result, many students graduate prepared to earn money, without learning how to keep it, grow it, or make it work for them. Imagine teaching someone how to drive, but never explaining the meaning of traffic signs. Eventually, they're going to make costly mistakes. That's exactly what happens with money. People enter adulthood with little financial guidance. Then life begins. Bills arrive. Rent is due. Loans appear. Unexpected emergencies happen. And suddenly, they're expected to make important financial decisions without ever being taught the basics. So they learn from somewhere else. Friends, family, social media, advertisements. Sometimes that advice is helpful. Sometimes it's dangerously misleading. One viral video promises instant wealth. Another claims you'll become rich overnight. Another tells you that success requires taking huge risks immediately. Without a solid financial foundation, it's difficult to separate wisdom from hype. That's why financial education is so important. It gives you a filter. It helps you recognize the difference between an opportunity and a trap. Here's another lesson many people never hear. There is a difference between earning an income and building wealth. A doctor can earn a high salary. An engineer can earn a high salary. A business owner can earn a high salary. But if they spend everything they make, they are not building wealth. Meanwhile, someone earning much less but consistently saving, investing, and improving their skills may quietly create lasting financial security. Income is what you earn. Wealth is what you keep and grow. Those are not the same thing. Another missing lesson is the power of financial responsibility. Many people believe that if they simply earn more money, all their problems will disappear. Sometimes earning more helps. But without discipline, higher income can simply lead to higher spending. This is known as lifestyle inflation. You get a raise. You buy a more expensive car, a larger house, more subscriptions, more monthly payments. Soon you're earning more than ever, yet still feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck. Your income increased, but your freedom didn't. Now imagine taking a different path. Instead of spending every raise, you save part of it. You invest part of it. You learn a new skill. You create another source of income. Year after year, those decisions begin to compound. Slowly at first, then dramatically. This is one of the most powerful truths about money. Small improvements, repeated consistently, often produce extraordinary results over time. Schools also tend to measure success through grades. Life measures success differently. In the real world, curiosity matters. Discipline matters. Communication matters. Problem-solving matters. The willingness to keep learning matters. The people who succeed financially are often lifelong students. They read books. They ask questions. They study markets. They learn from mistakes. They don't assume graduation means education is over. They understand that learning is a lifelong investment. And every new skill increases their ability to create value. Because that's another truth about money. Money follows value. The more problems you can solve, the more valuable you become. The more valuable you become, the more opportunities tend to come your way. This doesn't mean everyone must become an entrepreneur. Far from it. Whether you're an employee, a freelancer, an artist, a farmer, a teacher, or a business owner, continuing to improve your skills increases your potential. The world rewards people who continue growing. Perhaps the greatest lesson missing from many classrooms is this. Financial freedom isn't built by one big decision. It's built by thousands of small ones. Every budget you stick to. Every unnecessary purchase you avoid. Every book you read. Every new skill you learn. Every investment you make. Every mistake you learn from. These small decisions may seem insignificant on their own. But together, they shape your future. So if you were never taught these lessons in school, don't see that as a reason to give up. See it as a reason to begin. Your financial education doesn't end when you leave a classroom. In many ways, that's where it truly begins. Because today, information is more accessible than ever before. The question is no longer, can I learn? The question is, am I willing to keep learning? The people who answer yes often discover that financial freedom isn't reserved for a lucky few. It's built by ordinary people making extraordinary decisions consistently. And now that we've uncovered why financial education is so often overlooked, it's time to explore something even more important. Why do two people facing the exact same circumstances think completely differently about money? Why does one see opportunity while the other sees limitation? The answer lies in the difference between the rich mindset and the poor mindset. And understanding that difference may completely transform the way you approach your financial future. The truth about money. Chapter 6: Rich versus Poor Mindset. What if I told you that two people can stand in the exact same place, have the same education, earn the same income, face the same challenges, and still end up with completely different financial futures? At first, that doesn't seem fair. But it happens every single day. Why? Because before wealth shows up in your bank account, it usually shows up in your thinking. This isn't about being born rich or poor. It's not about where you come from. It's about how you respond to the opportunities and challenges in front of you. Let's imagine two friends. They both lose their jobs on the same day. The first person says, "My life is over. There are no opportunities left." The second says, "This is painful, but maybe it's the chance I've been waiting for to learn something new." Both experienced the same event, but they interpreted it differently. And those different interpretations lead to different actions. One gives up. The other adapts. That's the power of mindset. A poor mindset often asks, "What if I fail?" A wealthy mindset asks, "What can I learn if I fail?" Failure is uncomfortable for everyone. But successful people rarely see it as the end. They see it as feedback. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. Did you succeed on your first attempt? Probably not. You fell. You got back up. You adjusted. Eventually, balancing became natural. Building wealth works in much the same way. You'll make mistakes. You may lose money. You may trust the wrong people. You may miss opportunities. But every lesson makes you wiser, if you're willing to learn from it. Now here's another difference. People with a poor mindset often focus on the price. People with a wealthy mindset focus on value. Imagine two people looking at the same book. The first says, "Why would I spend money on that?" The second asks, "What could I learn from it?" The first sees an expense. The second sees an investment. The same applies to courses, skills, tools, and education. Of course, not everything sold as an investment is worthwhile. It's important to think critically and do your research. But people who consistently build wealth tend to spend thoughtfully on things that can improve their knowledge, abilities, or future opportunities. Another major difference is how people react to successful individuals. Some people see a wealthy person and immediately think, "They must have cheated. They were just lucky. They don't deserve it." Others become curious. What can I learn from them? How did they build that business? What habits helped them succeed? The first reaction creates resentment. The second creates growth. This doesn't mean every wealthy person is ethical. Some are. Some aren't. But assuming that all success comes from dishonesty can prevent you from learning valuable lessons from people who earn their success honestly. Curiosity is far more useful than bitterness. Let's talk about responsibility. When things go wrong, it's easy to blame the economy, the government, your boss, your family, your circumstances. Sometimes those factors genuinely matter. Life isn't equally easy for everyone. Unexpected setbacks happen. Systems can be unfair. Recognizing those realities is important. But there's another question that is even more powerful. What can I control today? You may not control inflation. You may not control the job market. But you can control how much you learn. You can control how you spend. You can control whether you improve your skills. You can control how you respond to setbacks. People who focus on what they can control usually make more progress than those who focus only on what they can't. Here's another difference. A poor mindset often believes money is limited. If someone else gets rich, there will be less left for me. A wealthy mindset understands that value can be created. New businesses are started every day. New inventions solve new problems. New ideas create new opportunities. Wealth isn't only divided. It can also be created. That's why entrepreneurs build companies. That's why inventors create products. That's why artists, writers, programmers, teachers, and skilled professionals can all create value in different ways. The world grows when people solve problems. Now consider how each mindset views time. Someone with a poor mindset often trades all of their time directly for money. If they stop working, the income stops. Someone with a wealthy mindset eventually begins asking, "How can I build something that continues creating value even when I'm not working every hour?" That could be an investment, a business, a valuable skill, or another long-term asset. The goal isn't to stop working. The goal is to make your work create lasting results. One of the biggest differences is patience. Many people quit too early. They start saving for 3 months and expect dramatic results. They begin learning a new skill for 6 weeks and become discouraged. They invest for a year and expect to become wealthy. But wealth doesn't usually grow like fireworks. It grows like a tree. At first, very little seems to happen. The roots are growing beneath the surface. Then, over time, the tree becomes stronger. Its branches spread. Its fruit appears. The people who remain patient are often the ones who eventually enjoy the greatest rewards. Finally, there is one belief that separates almost every successful person from everyone else. A poor mindset says, "I hope someone gives me an opportunity." A wealthy mindset asks, "How can I create one?" That single shift changes everything. Instead of waiting, you begin acting. Instead of complaining, you begin solving problems. Instead of seeing obstacles, you begin searching for possibilities. Remember, your current financial situation does not define your future. Many successful people started with very little. Many also experienced failures before finding success. What they shared wasn't perfect circumstances. It was a willingness to keep learning, adapting, and moving forward. Mindset alone won't make you wealthy. You still need action. You still need discipline. You still need knowledge. But mindset determines whether you'll take those actions in the first place. Every great financial journey begins with one simple decision: to think differently. Because when your thinking changes, your choices change. When your choices change, your habits change. And when your habits change, your future begins to change as well. Now that we've explored the difference between rich and poor thinking, it's time to uncover the everyday habits that quietly keep millions of people trapped in financial struggle without them even realizing it. Some of these habits may seem small, but over the course of years, they can make the difference between financial freedom and financial stress. Let's discover them in the next chapter. The truth about money. Chapter 7: The habits that keep people broke. It was 5:45 in the morning when Daniel's alarm rang. He reached over, silenced it, and sat on the edge of his bed. Outside, the city was already waking up. He got dressed, skipped breakfast to save time, and rushed to work. He wasn't lazy. In fact, he worked harder than almost everyone around him. He rarely missed a shift. He often stayed late. Whenever overtime was available, he accepted it without hesitation. His dream was simple. "If I just keep working harder," he told himself, "one day everything will change." But every month ended the same way. His paycheck arrived. Bills swallowed most of it. The rest disappeared so quickly that he could barely explain where it went. Then the cycle started all over again. Year after year. One evening, while waiting for a bus, Daniel ran into an old friend named Michael. The two had graduated from the same school, started with similar opportunities, even earned almost the same salary years earlier. Yet something was different. Michael wasn't wearing expensive clothes. He didn't drive a luxury car. In fact, he looked ordinary. But when they started talking, Daniel learned something that shocked him. Michael had become financially independent. He no longer worried about every bill. He had savings, investments, and enough financial stability to spend more time with his family. Daniel couldn't understand it. "How?" he finally asked. "We started in the same place." Michael smiled. "I didn't change my salary first," he said. "I changed my habits." That sentence stayed with Daniel for weeks. Because deep down, he realized he had spent years searching for a bigger paycheck, without ever questioning the habits controlling the one he already had. And that's where most financial struggles begin. Not with income, but with habits. The first habit that quietly keeps people broke is spending without awareness. Have you ever reached the end of the month and wondered, "Where did all my money go?" It usually isn't one massive purchase. It's dozens of small ones. A snack here, a subscription there, an impulse purchase because it was on sale, a delivery order because cooking felt like too much work. Individually, these expenses seem harmless. Together, they quietly drain your financial future. Imagine a bucket with tiny holes. Each hole leaks only a few drops. At first, you barely notice. But after enough time, the bucket is empty. Money often disappears the same way. The second habit is trying to look rich instead of becoming wealthy. Think about this for a moment. Why do some people buy things they can't comfortably afford? Sometimes it's because they want others to believe they're successful. A designer outfit, the latest smartphone, a luxury car financed over many years. None of these things are automatically bad. The problem begins when appearances become more important than financial security. Real wealth is often surprisingly quiet. Many financially successful people don't feel the need to prove it to strangers. They understand something powerful. Looking rich and being rich are two completely different things. The third habit is avoiding financial education. Many people spend hours every day scrolling through social media, watching entertainment, following celebrity gossip. Yet they say they don't have time to read one chapter of a book about money. Imagine planting two gardens. One receives water every day. The other is ignored. Months later, which one grows? Your financial knowledge works exactly the same way. Whatever you consistently feed grows. The fourth habit is waiting for the perfect moment. I'll start saving when I earn more. I'll invest when the timing is right. I'll start my business next year. But next year becomes another year. And another. The perfect moment rarely arrives. Progress usually belongs to people who begin before they feel completely ready. They learn while moving, not while waiting. The fifth habit is allowing emotions to control financial decisions. After a stressful day, many people reward themselves by spending. When they're happy, they celebrate by spending. When they're bored, they spend. When they're lonely, they spend. Money becomes an emotional escape instead of a purposeful tool. Over time, those emotional decisions quietly become expensive habits. The sixth habit is surrounding yourself with people who discourage growth. Imagine trying to climb a mountain while everyone around you keeps pulling you back down. It's exhausting. The people around you influence the way you think. If everyone in your circle believes that success is impossible, you'll eventually begin believing it too. But if you're surrounded by people who value learning, discipline, and personal growth, their mindset begins to shape yours. Choose your environment carefully, because your environment often predicts your future. Then comes one of the most dangerous habits of all: ignoring small amounts of money. Some people think, it's only a few dollars. It's just one purchase. It's only this once. But wealth is built the same way it's lost. Little by little. Every small decision matters. Every dollar has a direction. Either it moves you closer to financial freedom, or further away from it. Remember Michael? Months after their conversation, Daniel decided to make one small change. He didn't get a second job. He didn't win the lottery. He didn't suddenly become an investment expert. He simply started paying attention. He tracked where his money went. He reduced unnecessary spending. He began reading about personal finance for just 20 minutes each day. He started saving a small amount every month. The changes felt almost invisible. At first, his friends laughed. "That's not enough to make a difference," they said. But Daniel kept going. 1 year later, he had an emergency fund for the first time in his life. 3 years later, he had investments that were quietly growing. 5 years later, he no longer panicked whenever an unexpected expense appeared. His life hadn't changed because of one dramatic decision. It changed because of hundreds of ordinary decisions repeated consistently. That's the secret most people never see. Success is rarely built during moments of excitement. It's built during ordinary days when no one is watching. When you choose discipline over impulse, learning over excuses, patience over instant gratification, those quiet moments shape your future. So tonight, before you go to bed, ask yourself one question. What habit am I repeating today that my future self will either thank me for or regret? Because your future isn't being created once a year. It's being created every single day. One habit at a time. But even if you master every financial habit we've discussed, there's still one question left unanswered. How does money actually work? Why do some people make money work for them while others spend their entire lives working for money? The answer lies in understanding the game itself. And once you see it, you'll never look at money the same way again. The truth about money. Chapter 8. How money actually works. For thousands of years, people have chased money, worked for it, fought over it, even sacrificed their health and happiness trying to earn more of it. But here's a question that surprisingly few people ever ask. What is money really? Is it just pieces of paper? Numbers on a screen? Coins in your pocket? Not exactly. Money is simply a tool. A tool that represents value. Imagine you grow apples. Your neighbor builds furniture. Instead of trading 10 baskets of apples for one table every time, money makes the exchange simple. It allows people to trade value efficiently. That's why money itself has no power. Its power comes from what it can be exchanged for. Once you understand that, you stop seeing money as the goal. You begin seeing it as a tool that helps you create the life you want. Now here's where many people get stuck. They believe there's only one way to make money. Work. Get paid. Spend it. Repeat. This is known as trading time for money. There's nothing wrong with honest work. In fact, almost everyone starts there. But think about this. You only have 24 hours in a day. No matter how hardworking you are, you can't create more time. That means if your income depends entirely on the hours you work, your earning potential will always have a limit. This is where financially successful people begin thinking differently. They ask a powerful question. How can I create value that continues even when I'm not actively working? That doesn't mean money magically appears. It means building systems that can continue producing income over time. A business. An investment. A valuable digital product. A book. Royalties. Or assets that can grow in value. The goal isn't to stop working. The goal is to stop depending on every single hour of work for every single dollar you earn. Now let's talk about one of the greatest forces in finance. Compound growth. Imagine planting one small seed. Nothing seems to happen for days. Then a tiny sprout appears. Years later, that tiny seed has become a tree producing hundreds of new seeds. Money can behave the same way. When money earns returns, and those returns begin earning returns, growth starts accelerating. At first, the progress feels slow, almost invisible. That's why many people quit too early. But those who remain patient often discover that time becomes their greatest financial partner. This is why starting early matters. Not because you need a lot of money, but because time gives small, consistent actions a chance to grow. Here's another concept most people overlook. There are only two directions your money can move. It can flow toward assets, or toward liabilities. An asset is something that has the potential to increase your financial position or generate value over time. A liability is something that costs you money to maintain or reduces your financial flexibility. The important point isn't that every asset always makes money, or every liability is always bad. For example, a family home provides shelter and may increase in value, but it also comes with ongoing costs. The key is understanding how each financial decision affects your long-term goals. Every time you earn money, you make a choice. Will this decision help build my future? Or simply satisfy today's impulse? Neither choice is automatically wrong. The problem comes when today's desires consume tomorrow's opportunities. Now think about inflation. Imagine you hide cash under your mattress for 20 years. The amount of money stays the same. But what that money can buy may shrink over time as prices rise. That's why many people aim not only to save money but also to make informed decisions about how to preserve or grow its value over the long term. Another truth about money is that it follows value. People often ask, how can I make more money? A better question is, how can I become more valuable? Can you solve difficult problems? Can you teach a skill? Can you build something useful? Can you help businesses grow? Can you create products that improve people's lives? The more value you create, the more opportunities tend to follow. Money is often the reward for solving problems. The bigger the problem you solve, the greater the potential reward. Think about some of the world's most successful businesses. Many became successful because they solved problems people faced every day. Transportation, communication, shopping, entertainment, education. They created value first. The money followed. Here's another lesson. Money likes movement. Not careless movement. Purposeful movement. When people spend wisely, invest thoughtfully, learn new skills, or build useful businesses, money can create more value. But when money sits idle without a purpose, its potential is limited. This doesn't mean you should invest recklessly. Quite the opposite. Every financial decision carries risk. The goal is to make informed choices, diversify when appropriate, and continue learning rather than acting on emotion or hype. Let's also talk about debt. Debt itself isn't automatically good or bad. Its impact depends on how it's used and whether it can be managed responsibly. Borrowing to buy something that quickly loses value without improving your financial situation may create long-term stress. Borrowing carefully for education, a home, or a business opportunity may be beneficial in some situations, but only if the risks, costs, and repayment plan are fully understood. The important lesson is this: never borrow simply because you can. Borrow only after understanding the long-term consequences. One final truth. Money is a terrible master, but an excellent servant. If money controls your decisions, you'll always feel anxious. You'll constantly compare yourself with others. You'll chase more without ever feeling satisfied. But when you learn to control your money instead, everything changes. Money becomes a tool, a resource, a way to create security, a way to help your family, a way to invest in your future, a way to support causes you care about. The purpose of money isn't to own you. It's to serve the life you want to build. And that's the difference between people who spend their lives chasing money and those who learn to make money work for them. Now that you understand how money actually works, there's one more important question to answer. What if you don't come from wealth? What if you're starting with almost nothing? Can someone truly build financial freedom from the ground up? The answer may inspire you more than anything we've discussed so far. Let's explore that in the next chapter. The truth about money. Chapter 9: Building Wealth from Nothing. One of the biggest excuses people make is this: I'll start building wealth when I have more money. It sounds reasonable. But it's also one of the most dangerous lies you can tell yourself. Because if you don't know how to manage a small amount of money, a larger amount usually won't solve the problem. Imagine someone gives two people $1,000. The first person spends it within a week on things that lose value almost immediately. The second person uses part of it to learn a new skill, saves some for emergencies, and invests the rest wisely. A year later, who is more likely to have made progress? The answer isn't based on how much they received. It's based on what they chose to do with it. That's the first truth about building wealth. Wealth begins with decisions, not income. History is filled with people who started with almost nothing. Some grew up in small towns. Some came from struggling families. Some failed multiple times before they ever succeeded. Their stories are different. But they all share one thing in common. They refused to believe that their current situation had to become their permanent future. Instead of asking, "Why don't I have enough?" they asked, "What can I do with what I already have?" That question changes everything. Because once you stop focusing on what you lack, you begin seeing opportunities that were always there. Let's break wealth building into simple steps. Step 1: Master your money before it masters you. Before you think about becoming rich, Learn how to control the money you already have. Know where it goes. Track your spending. Create a simple budget. Not because budgeting is exciting, but because awareness creates control. You can't improve what you don't measure. Even small daily expenses can quietly grow into large amounts over time. The goal isn't to stop enjoying life. The goal is to make sure your money is working toward your future instead of disappearing without purpose. Step 2. Increase your value. The fastest way to earn more isn't always working longer hours. Sometimes it's becoming more valuable. Learn a skill that people are willing to pay for. Improve your communication. Understand technology. Develop leadership. Study sales. Learn how to solve real problems. Money flows toward value. The more valuable you become, the more opportunities tend to appear. Never stop learning. Your knowledge is one investment that no one can take away from you. Step 3. Spend less than you earn. It sounds simple. Yet millions of people ignore it. Every time you spend less than you earn, you create room for your future. Every time you spend more than you earn, you borrow from your future. The gap between income and expenses is where wealth begins. Even if that gap is small today, protect it. Grow it. Let it become the seed of your financial freedom. Step 4. Make your money work. Most people know how to work for money. Far fewer know how to make money work for them. This is where investing becomes important. Not because it's a shortcut, but because it allows your money to grow over time. Think of every investment as planting a seed. You won't see a tree tomorrow, but with patience and care, that seed can grow into something far greater than it first appeared. The key isn't chasing quick riches. It's consistency. Step 5. Build more than one source of income. Imagine sitting on a chair with only one leg. Would you trust it? Probably not. Yet many people depend entirely on one paycheck. If that paycheck disappears, everything becomes uncertain. Building another income source doesn't happen overnight. It could begin with freelance work, a small business, creating digital products, investments that generate returns over time. The goal isn't to do everything at once. The goal is to become less dependent on a single source. Step 6. Be patient. This may be the hardest step of all. We live in a world that celebrates overnight success. But what people rarely see are the years of effort behind it. The late nights, the failures, the learning, the persistence. Real wealth is usually quiet. It grows while others are distracted. It rewards patience far more often than excitement. Remember, a tree doesn't grow faster because you keep digging it up to check the roots. The same is true for your financial journey. Stay consistent. Trust the process. Step 7. Protect what you build. Building wealth is important. Keeping it is just as important. Avoid unnecessary debt. Prepare for emergencies. Continue learning. Be cautious about offers that promise huge returns with little effort. If something sounds too step of all. We live in a world that celebrates overnight success. But what people rarely see are the years of effort behind it. The late nights, the failures, the learning, the persistence. Real wealth is usually quiet. It grows while others are distracted. It rewards patience far more often than excitement. Remember, a tree doesn't grow faster because you keep digging it up to check the roots. The same is true for your financial journey. Stay consistent. Trust the process. Step 7. Protect what you build. Building wealth is important. Keeping it is just as important. Avoid unnecessary debt. Prepare for emergencies. Continue learning. Be cautious about offers that promise huge returns with little effort. If something sounds too good to be true, it usually deserves careful scrutiny. Protecting your money is part of respecting the work it took to earn it. Now let's talk about something many people overlook. Your environment matters. The people around you influence your habits. If everyone around you spends recklessly, it becomes easier to do the same. If the people around you encourage learning, saving, and disciplined decisions. Those habits become easier to develop. Choose your influences carefully. Read books that challenge your thinking. Listen to people who teach practical financial principles. Surround yourself with individuals who inspire growth rather than excuses. And finally, understand this. Building wealth from nothing doesn't mean becoming a billionaire. For one person, wealth means owning a home. For another, it means retiring comfortably. For someone else, it means having enough freedom to spend more time with family. Wealth is personal. It isn't about competing with strangers. It's about creating a life where money becomes a tool, not a constant source of fear. You don't need a perfect beginning. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need perfect knowledge. You simply need to begin. One better decision today. Another tomorrow. Then another the next day. Those small choices, repeated over months and years, can completely transform your future. The journey to wealth rarely starts with a fortune. It starts with a decision. A decision to think differently, to act differently, and to believe that your financial future can become better than your financial past. Now that we've explored how ordinary people can begin building wealth from wherever they are, it's time to look ahead. Because the world of money is changing faster than ever before. Technology is transforming how people earn, invest, save, and spend. The question is no longer whether money will change. The question is whether you'll be ready for that change. Let's step into the future of money in the next chapter. The truth about money. Chapter 10: The future of money. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine waking up 10 years from now. The way you earn money has changed. The way you spend money has changed. Even the way you save money has changed. Some jobs that exist today are gone. Entire industries have been transformed. New careers have appeared that didn't even exist a few years earlier. This isn't science fiction. It's already happening. The future of money isn't arriving someday. It's being built right now. And the people who prepare for it today will have a major advantage tomorrow. The question is, will you be one of them? Throughout history, money has constantly evolved. Long ago, people traded goods directly. If you had grain and needed clothes, you had to find someone willing to exchange with you. That system worked. Until it didn't. Then came coins. Then paper currency. Then banks. Then payment cards. Then online banking. Today, with just a smartphone, people can send and receive money in seconds. Every generation experiences a new financial revolution. The next one is already underway. Technology is changing everything. Artificial intelligence is transforming the way businesses operate. Automation is replacing repetitive tasks. Digital platforms allow people to reach customers across the world. Knowledge has become more valuable than ever. The ability to learn quickly is becoming one of the most important financial skills anyone can have. Think about this. Years ago, starting a business often required a large office, expensive equipment, and a significant amount of money. Today, someone with a laptop, internet access, and a valuable skill can build an audience, launch a service, or create digital products from almost anywhere. The barriers have become lower. But the competition has become greater. That's why learning never stops. The people who continue developing their skills are more likely to adapt when the world changes. Those who refuse to learn often struggle when change becomes unavoidable. Another major shift is the growing importance of multiple income streams. For generations, many people relied on a single paycheck. That approach still works for many. But today's economy can change quickly. Businesses evolve. Industries transform. Unexpected events happen. Having more than one source of income can provide greater flexibility and resilience. It doesn't have to happen overnight. It could begin with a side business, a freelance skill, investments, creating valuable content, or another way of providing value to others. The goal isn't to chase every opportunity. It's to avoid depending entirely on one. Another important truth about the future of money is this. Your greatest asset isn't your wallet. It's your ability to solve problems. The more valuable your skills become, the more opportunities you can create. Think about the people who are consistently in demand. Doctors solve health problems. Engineers solve technical problems. Teachers solve learning problems. Programmers solve software problems. Business owners solve customer problems. Every income begins with solving someone's problem. That's unlikely to change, no matter how advanced technology becomes. In fact, as technology handles more routine tasks, human creativity, communication, leadership, and critical thinking become even more valuable. The future belongs to people who continue learning. But with every opportunity comes responsibility. The internet has made information available to almost everyone. Unfortunately, it has also made misinformation spread faster. You'll see advertisements promising instant wealth. You'll hear stories of overnight success. You'll find people claiming they discovered a secret formula to becoming rich. Be careful. If something sounds too good to be true, it usually deserves closer examination. Real wealth rarely comes from shortcuts. It usually comes from patience, discipline, and consistently creating value over time. Here's another shift many people overlook. In the future, your reputation may become one of your most valuable assets. People choose who they trust. Customers buy from businesses they believe in. Employers value people who are reliable. Partners work with people who keep their word. Trust takes years to build. It can be lost in moments. Protecting your integrity is one of the smartest financial decisions you can make. Now imagine two people entering the next decade. The first resists every change. I've always done it this way. This new technology isn't for me. I'll figure it out later. The second stays curious. They read. They learn. They adapt. They ask questions. They improve their skills little by little. 10 years later, who do you think is better prepared? The world rewards adaptability. Not because change is easy, but because change is inevitable. Here's something else to remember. No one can accurately predict every economic trend. Markets rise. Markets fall. New industries emerge. Others disappear. Instead of trying to predict every change, prepare yourself to respond to change. Build skills that remain useful. Practice good financial habits. Avoid unnecessary debt. Continue learning. Stay flexible. Those principles have remained valuable across generations. And they will likely remain valuable for generations to come. Perhaps the greatest opportunity in the future won't belong to the smartest person, or the richest, or even the most talented. It may belong to the person who never stops learning. Because knowledge compounds. Skills compound. Relationships compound. Good decisions compound. Just like money. Remember, the future of money isn't only about new technology. It's about new ways of thinking. It's about becoming adaptable instead of fearful. Curious instead of complacent. Prepared instead of surprised. The people who embrace lifelong learning won't simply survive the future. They'll help shape it. And now, after everything we've explored, there's one final question remaining. Knowing the truth about money is powerful. But how do you apply it every single day? What simple habits can move you closer to financial freedom, one day at a time? In our final chapter, we'll bring everything together with practical daily habits that can transform the way you think, act, and build wealth for the rest of your life. The truth about money. Chapter 11. The Power of Compound Growth. Imagine standing at the top of a hill with a tiny snowball in your hands. At first, it barely fills your palm. It seems too small to matter. Now imagine rolling that snowball down the hill. For the first few seconds, almost nothing changes. It rolls slowly. It grows only a little. If you stopped watching at that moment, you might think nothing interesting was happening. But then, something changes. The snowball begins picking up more snow. It becomes heavier. It rolls faster. Every rotation adds more weight than the one before. By the time it reaches the bottom of the hill, the tiny snowball has become something enormous. That is one of the greatest lessons about money. Small actions, repeated consistently over time, can produce extraordinary results. This principle is called compound growth. Many people think compound growth only applies to investing. It doesn't. It applies to nearly every area of life. Knowledge compounds. Skills compound. Relationships compound. Good habits compound. Bad habits compound too. The life you experience 10 years from now will largely be the result of the small decisions you make today. Let's begin with money. Imagine two friends. The first waits for the perfect time to start saving and investing. "I'll begin next year," they say. Then next year becomes the year after. Life gets busy. Bills pile up. Responsibilities grow. The perfect time never arrives. The second friend starts with a very small amount. Not enough to impress anyone. Not enough to feel rich. But enough to build a habit. Month after month. Year after year. They remain consistent. At first, the progress feels almost invisible. The account grows slowly. Some months are better than others. There are moments of doubt. Moments when quitting seems easier. But they keep going. Years later, something remarkable happens. The money begins generating returns. Those returns begin generating more returns. Growth starts accelerating. What once seemed insignificant becomes meaningful. The biggest mistake people make is underestimating what consistency can achieve. We often overestimate what we can accomplish in a week, and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10 years. That's why patience is so valuable. In a world obsessed with instant results, patience has become a competitive advantage. Think about learning a new language. On the first day, you know only a handful of words. After a month, conversations still feel difficult. But after years of daily practice, you can speak fluently. The transformation didn't happen overnight. It happened through thousands of small improvements. Money works much the same way. So does health. So does confidence. So does success. Now let's look at the opposite side. Negative habits also compound. Imagine buying an expensive coffee every day without thinking about it. Or making impulse purchases whenever you're bored. Each decision seems small. Almost harmless. But repeated over months and years, those habits quietly shape your financial future. The same is true for debt. A small amount of debt may not seem dangerous. But if interest continues growing while payments fall behind, the problem becomes much larger than it first appeared. This is why small financial decisions deserve more attention than most people give them. Every dollar has a direction. You can spend it, save it, invest it, or waste it. Each choice moves you toward a different future. Compound growth isn't just about money. It's about becoming the kind of person who makes wise decisions consistently. Imagine reading just 10 pages of a good book every day. That may not sound impressive. But after 1 year, you've likely finished several books. After 5 years, you've gained knowledge that many people never take the time to learn. Knowledge compounds. Imagine improving one skill by just 1% every day. The improvement feels tiny. Almost invisible. But over time, that small progress separates you from people who never improve at all. Success is rarely built through one giant leap. It's built through countless small steps. There's another important lesson hidden inside compound growth. Most rewards come later than people expect. This is where many people give up. They save for 6 months. Nothing dramatic happens. They exercise for a few weeks. The mirror barely changes. They study a new skill. Progress feels slow. So they quit. They mistake slow progress for no progress. But beneath the surface, change is happening. Roots grow before trees. Foundations are built before skyscrapers. Preparation comes before opportunity. The people who succeed understand this. They trust the process long before they see the results. That's why consistency beats intensity. Working hard for 1 week cannot replace disciplined action over many years. A single investment won't make you wealthy. A single workout won't transform your health. A single book won't change your life. But hundreds of wise decisions, made consistently, can completely reshape your future. Now imagine yourself 10 years from today. What habits are you practicing? What skills have you developed? What financial choices have you repeated thousands of times? That future version of you is being built right now. Not tomorrow. Not next month. Today. Every decision is a vote for the person you're becoming. Every wise choice strengthens your future. Every careless choice weakens it. The beautiful thing about compound growth is that it doesn't require perfection. It requires consistency. You don't have to become wealthy overnight. You simply have to become slightly better than you were yesterday. Because when small improvements continue for years, the results often appear extraordinary to everyone else. People may call it luck. They may say you were born talented. They may wonder how you became so successful. They won't see the quiet mornings, the disciplined evenings, the sacrifices, the years of consistency. But you will know the truth. Great wealth, like great character, is usually built slowly. One decision, one habit, one day at a time. And while compound growth can quietly build extraordinary wealth, there are also mistakes that can quietly destroy it. Many people spend years building financial progress, only to lose it because of a handful of avoidable errors. In the next chapter, we'll uncover the most common mistakes that destroy wealth, and more importantly, how to avoid them. The truth about money. Chapter 12, Final Message, the truth that can change your life. We've covered a lot together. We've talked about the myths surrounding money. We've explored the psychology of wealth. We've uncovered why so many people work hard yet struggle financially. We've looked at the difference between earning an income and building wealth. And we've seen how your mindset, your habits, and your daily decisions shape your financial future. Now, before this journey ends, there's one final truth you need to hear. Money is not your destination. It's your vehicle. Too many people spend their entire lives chasing money, without ever asking themselves why. Why do you want financial freedom? Is it so you can buy a bigger house? Drive a more expensive car? Wear designer clothes? Or is it something deeper? Maybe it's the freedom to spend more time with your family. Maybe it's the ability to help your parents retire comfortably. Maybe it's knowing that if an emergency happens tomorrow, you won't panic. Maybe it's having the freedom to choose work that gives your life meaning instead of simply paying the bills. Money is powerful, but only when it serves a purpose greater than itself. If money becomes your master, you'll never feel like you have enough. There will always be someone with a bigger house, a faster car, a larger business, a more luxurious lifestyle. Comparison has no finish line. But if money becomes your tool, it becomes one of the greatest forces for freedom. Remember this. Being wealthy isn't about impressing strangers. It's about removing unnecessary stress from your life. It's about having options. It's about sleeping peacefully because you've prepared for tomorrow. It's about creating opportunities for the people you love. One day, you'll look back on your life. You won't remember every paycheck. You won't remember every purchase. But you'll remember the time you spent with the people who mattered. You'll remember the dreams you had the courage to pursue. You'll remember the lives you touched. That's why wealth should never be measured only by numbers in a bank account. True wealth includes your health, your character, your knowledge, your relationships, your peace of mind. If you lose money, you can earn it again. If you lose time, you never get it back. So don't spend your entire life sacrificing your life just to make a living. Learn to make your money support the life you truly want. And if you're thinking, I've made too many financial mistakes, remember this. Every financially successful person has made mistakes. Some invested poorly. Some trusted the wrong people. Some lost businesses. Some started over more than once. Failure isn't the opposite of success. For many people, it's part of the journey. The important question isn't, Have you failed? The important question is, what did you learn? Because every lesson makes your next decision a little wiser. And every wise decision moves you one step closer to the future you want. As this video comes to an end, I want to leave you with a challenge. Not for next year. Not for next month. Today. When this video ends, write down one financial habit you want to change. Just one. Maybe you'll create your first budget. Maybe you'll begin saving a small percentage of every paycheck. Maybe you'll finally start learning about investing. Maybe you'll pay off one debt. Maybe you'll read one book about personal finance. Don't try to change everything overnight. Small actions, repeated consistently, create extraordinary results. One decision today becomes one habit tomorrow. One habit becomes one lifestyle. One lifestyle becomes one legacy. Years from now, you'll either thank yourself for starting today or wish you had. The choice has always been yours. Before we say goodbye, remember these 5 truths. First, money is a tool, not your identity. Second, your mindset shapes your financial future long before your income does. Third, small, consistent actions beat occasional bursts of motivation. Fourth, learning about money is one of the highest return investments you can make. And fifth, financial freedom isn't built in a day. It's built every day. If this video changed the way you think about money, don't let the lesson end here. Take action. Share what you've learned with someone who needs to hear it. Keep learning. Keep growing. And keep making decisions that your future self will be grateful for. Because the truth about money is this: money won't solve every problem. It won't guarantee happiness. It won't make life perfect. But when it's earned honestly, managed wisely, and used with purpose, it can give you something incredibly valuable. Freedom. The freedom to choose. The freedom to grow. The freedom to help others. And the freedom to live a life that's defined not by what you own, but by the impact you leave behind. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you found value in this journey, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos on wealth, success, mindset, and personal growth. Until next time, take care of your money, take care of your mind, and never stop investing in the person you are becoming. Because your greatest asset has always been you. If you found value in this journey, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss future videos on wealth, success, mindset, and personal growth. Share this video with someone who needs to hear these truths today. Because sometimes, one new idea, one new habit, or one new decision can completely change the direction of a person's life. Thank you for watching. Until next time, take care of your money, take care of your mind, and never stop investing in the person you are becoming. Because your greatest investment was never the money in your bank account. It was never the job you worked. It was never the possessions you owned. Your greatest investment has always been the person staring back at you in the mirror. The more you grow, the more value you create. The more value you create, the more opportunities life places in front of you. So keep learning, keep improving, keep believing, and remember, wealth doesn't begin in your wallet. It begins in your mind. I'll see you in the next video.